Shalom Aleichem. This week is Parshat Shoftim, Judges. The Torah tells us that the Shoftim, the Shotrim, Titen L'cho, L'cho She'orecha, L'shvotecha. You should make judges, appoint courts all over the land, throughout the land, so that somebody, chas v'sholom, needs to adjudicate something, if there's a question in halacha or between people, monetary matters and whatnot, we should have judges appointed. Rabbi Nachman says, okay, how do you appoint a judge? What kind of person should be that judge? And the answer is the very last word in the pasuk, which says, Lishvotecha, for your tribes. Each tribe should have its own set of court system and whatnot. Rabbi Nachman teaches us that Shevet, a tribe, Shin, Beis, Tes, is the initial letters of the words Tovu, Ba'oretz, Shi'oreha, that the gates were swallowed up in the earth. From when the temple was destroyed, what we have is unfortunately a very convoluted court system. The judges, not everybody who is a judge is worthy to be a judge. Not everybody who comes to court with a claim has a true claim. Not everybody is ready. And if you're thinking about being judged, think about what happens on Rosh Hashanah, which is only less than a month away. Think about what happens after our 120 years when we have to go up and join. So what is Rabbi Nachman telling us about Shvotecha, about our tribes? Shevet, the gates were swallowed up. That term, the gates were swallowed up, is from a Talmudic teaching. It's in the book of Eichel, in the book of Lamentations, that the Talmud teaches that when the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, so the Oron HaKodesh, the Holy Ark, which was in the center, the Holy of Holies, was swallowed up by the earth. When that disappeared, a lot of the other justice and true justice was also swallowed up. You hear people say all the time, there's no justice in the world. Well, it's basically true, because people don't do the right thing. So the gates were swallowed up. Rabbi Nachman says, okay, they were swallowed up, but what are we supposed to do about it? Right? He answers that it's our obligation to study every day the laws, the halacha, the Shulchan Aruch. When we study the Shulchan Aruch, then we can appoint judges, people who know what they're talking about. We can do the best we can to see that justice is really done. That's what's very, very important, and that's what we have to see about Be'ez Hashem, that it's our job. But the way to get it done is by every one of us studying halacha, the laws of Torah every day, the laws, right? It's nice to study the stories. It's nice to study a moral teaching. Everything is nice, but we have to learn to study the law. If we study the law, we know what to do. You know what to do, you'll do the right thing. If you don't know, if you don't have that, you're in trouble. Elsewhere, in the Likutei Moharan, Rabbi Nachman, that was lesson 286 in the first part of the Likutei Moharan, the last lesson. Elsewhere, Rabbi Nachman says, when you have questions in your heart, and we all have questions, handicapped people, why? Why is there evil murder in the world? Why is there stealing? Why does the government exist? On what merit does the government, etc.? We all have questions, right? When you have a question, you have to solve the question. You have to resolve it. How can you resolve the question? Also, by studying the law, studying the Shulchan Aruch. It teaches you what is right and what is wrong. You learn, your mind learns to think along the lines, what is right, what is wrong. And you're able to discern between right and wrong, and you're able to choose the right path in life. That's what's very, very important about studying the laws. You must study the laws every day. It's incumbent upon every Jew to study Jewish law every day. This way you can learn to become a good Jew. All right? That's how the Parsha starts off. We move on to Sheni, second part, which speaks about appointing a king. Here's an interesting thing. The Torah tells us appoint a king. Some 300 years later, 350 years later, 300 years later, the time of the Navi Shmuel, the time of the prophet Samuel, right? The Jews came to Samuel, to Shmuel, and they asked him to appoint a king. And Hashem said, well, it's not you, Shmuel, that they're rejecting. It's me, Hashem, that they're rejecting. I shouldn't be their king. Who should be their king? They want a flesh and blood king, a president, prime minister, whatever it may be, a dictator. Whatever it is, they want someone up there who's going to be the king. So it's not you they're rejecting, it's me they're rejecting. So now the question is, the Torah says appoint a king. Why was it so horrible, terrible in the eyes of Hashem that the Jews asked for a king? The Torah says appoint a king, right? What's their problem? The problem is that they didn't ask for the king correctly. They didn't ask for the king like in Shoftim. They want a proper judge. They want a king who will rule honestly. They want a king, there's taxes. You have to maintain the king's salary. He also has to eat. He's also blood and flesh, right? But you have to ask for a proper king, someone who can do the job right. King David, when he was appointed, the Pasuk says in second book of Shmuel, Vayi David oisa mishpat u'tzedakah l'chol amoy. King David did justice for his people, and Yoav was the chief of staff. So the Gemara in Sanhedrin says, why was King David able to adjudicate and do things right? Because he had a chief of staff, he had somebody to take care of the other things that he had secretaries, he had everything. He was able to spend his time looking for real justice. The Gemara even says, if he had a case where there was a poor person against a rich person, and King David ruled in favor of the wealthy person, so that the poor person had to pay, King David said, this is the law, you have to pay. You're the one who did wrong. But then King David went and took money from his pocket and he gave it to the poor person, so he shouldn't be out of pocket. So you have to do things right? The taxation systems today are very biased. They're not fair and whatnot. We need to pray to Hashem that we have good judges, that we have good people watching out for us. The Torah goes further and says you have to have witnesses. In the case you want to adjudicate with a person, this one's guilty, this one's innocent, you have to have proof. The proof is witnesses. If you have witnesses, two witnesses, what do you do if the witnesses are false? Torah says if you find out that they're false witnesses, you do to them what they wanted to do to the other guy. They were going to give false witness or false testimony against a person. If it was going to cost them money, you charge the witnesses the money. If it's going to cost them a life, you charge the witnesses with their life. You give them a death penalty and whatnot. The idea is the Parsha is teaching us what's right and what's wrong and how to look for what is right. May Hashem help that we merit to be able to choose right all the time, and we choose the right path, the right way, and we do whatever is right in the eyes of Hashem, and that way we'll merit to see the coming of Mashiach, and the building of the Beis HaMikdash, and we'll have true judges. Amen v'amen.